Hi guys, thank you for stopping by. My name is Jermaine, aka Jay, and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Previously on Jay's Big Chat.
Maybe a question for the parents, and the kitchen is, how do your parents prepare you? How do you guys prepare your children? Maybe those are really young too. How do you prepare them for work? How do you prepare them for socialize with other people? How do you raise them to deal with
With the real world.
With the real world?
Yeah. See, I'm not even reaching the stage with the real world. But yeah, so we'll continue this one when we say goodbye to Sal. Thank you for.
See you later.
So welcome back. We were joined by Sal, who had to leave us, but we're going to continue our conversation. And just before we stopped, Marvyn, you were asking a question.
Yeah, so I was asking how parents and how your parents prepared you for the real world, how they prepared you for work, the working life, how they basically prepared you for just when they have to leave the nest.
Yeah. And okay, does anyone wanna?
It's a good question.
I think we're looking at techniques here, aren't we? We're looking at ways in which, or things that were said to us. So I think for me, if I have to say what I'm doing with my kids, now I've got a 10-year-old who I'm very conscious of his age, right? So I feel like at 10, he still has his innocence, but at the same time, he's right on the brink of realizing the world that he's in. So I think it's for me as a parent to understand the world that we're in now, not the world that I grew up in, right? So the world that I grew up in, I can easily say, yep, fine, I can put these measures in place, I can do this, I can say this to him, but I need to now educate myself based on the world that we're in today, right? And say, okay, these are the sort of dangers that I need to try and familiarize myself with and try and find, things to put in place, preventions to put in place and so forth. And of course, it's not going to be everything. So as I said, he's 10 years old, but at the same time, I realized he's got 1 year left in primary school. And I remember sort of that year being a very difficult one because the following year you're sort of chucked into the deep end, which is secondary school, right? And for me, primary school is kind of like your home, right? It's very much catered for, like all the kids are catered for their emotion, their feelings, everything. But once they get into secondary school, they're in for me, that's like the big bad world. Do you know what I mean? They're free, as it were, with guidelines, yes, but they're free to kind of roam and do as they please and think as they please and so forth, and they're expected to. So a lot of the times it's kind of 11 years of age, 6 weeks holiday come, then you're into the real world.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same for when they reach sort of like year 11 or sixth form. Straight after that, it's like, okay, off to college, off to sixth form, off
Some
to
people nothing
university.
if they don't do college or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then it's like, what are they now going into?
I think for me, like a technique that I would say, like my parents definitely used with me, and for me, like, obviously you spoke about the transition from primary to secondary.
Yeah.
But I'll go on to now speak about like the transition from secondary into college, or even that 15-16-year-old period where it's difficult. I think one thing that my parents definitely done with me was they got to know my friendship group. So I think that was so important for me and for even my parents, for peace of mind, was to understand the people that I was surrounding myself with. Because I always believe with what a child goes on to do in those years, whether bad or good, it's 50% nature, 50% nurture. Like I feel like the environment that they're growing up in, the people they surround themselves with, that's going to influence them as much as your parents did. So your parents could have told you, don't do this, don't do that, but then your friends say, all right, we're doing this.
Yeah.
So you might go along with that. Everything your parents instilled in you could just be thrown away like in a heartbeat based on your friendship group. So I think for parents, like just knowing who your child is, like surrounding themselves with, and familiarizing. Like my parents always like told my friends when they came round, well, not told them, well, my friends always brought up like, wait, come say hello.
Yeah.
We didn't go up to my room. We was all sitting down with my family in the living room, talking to my dad, talking to my mum, having dinner together. So they built that relationship with my friends, to know that there's that trust there.
Yeah.
So if we go out, they know that they can trust them, trust my friends and people around me to look out for me, and vice versa. So I think all of my friends, we kind of built that relationship with the parents, and just building that bridge kind of thing between parents and friends and children. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah, I think that's you know, that really is, that's the ideal, really, what you're kind of aiming for when bringing up the children, especially as they hit those teenage years. That is what you're rooting for, I think, because, you know, I think it just covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
But I think looking at my experience, it's really hard to do that in this day and age, where they've got their own mobile phones,
Of course, yeah.
they've got all their own network, and it's a lot of it is outside of you as a parent, you know what I mean? And you can do as much as you can, but there's always this loophole, you know, that kind of slips through sometimes, you know, and I found that really, as a parent, I found that, like the whole social media, the whole mobile, you know, I found that the most challenging. You know, I had to do spot checks on their phones and all that kind of stuff, and it's really, really hard, and I'm really hoping that that will get better, actually. I just think that, you know, my generation and my children's generation are vastly different. They're so different, you know, to how I grew up when I was a teenager. You know, I had no choice. If I wanted to speak to a friend, for example, I had to sit in my front room with my dad picking up the phone, saying, "Hello, who's that?"
Yeah.
You know, and I had to have a conversation with this person, whoever they were. With my dad listening like next to me. You know, that doesn't happen.
No.
With my children.
And we touched on this on the previous episode when it came to social media and it actually being its own world, you know. So as you was talking about the world of in person, you know, that was in one in which you could kind of control, as you said, about the whole talking on the phone. But then again, if you wanted to communicate with someone, if it wasn't on the phone, it'll be like physical, sort of, you'll say at school or wherever, like, meet me at this time. But now, I mean, you know, it's the case of, you've got so many different platforms, and on each platform you have so many different people, you know. So I understand 100%, like, it's impossible to know each of these worlds, you know, and keep tabs on them.
Plus they have nicknames. So,
Yeah.
you know, so you don't really know your children's friends, but, you know, if you say to your who's that, what's their real name? I don't know.
I don't know,
You know,
they've just always gone by this.
name or whatever name they've got. It's like, how do you keep track of all of this?
Yeah.
You know? It's one of the biggest challenges of parenting now, I think.
I had a question for you guys, just in terms of like, when we were saying about preparing them for the real world, like work and socializing and stuff like that, how much do you guys feel that parents need to take accountability for educating their children on things like the working world, like paying taxes, pensions, things like that? Or do you think that parents feel, all right, school should deal with that? Like, it should be left to the schools to educate my kids on paying taxes one day, getting a mortgage, paying rent, all the things that every person, every human being looks to do one day. Do you think parents need to take accountability?
Do you know what I think? And of course, you guys can have your opinion on this as well. But I feel like as parents, we have so much going on just to keep things afloat, in terms of to keep our lives afloat, to keep our, you know, relationships with the rest of the world, including those that we're looking after, afloat, right? So the teaching aspect of things, I feel like sometimes can be missed. Maybe not on purpose, you know, but when you're worrying about, you know, where this money is coming from to pay this bill, or when you worry about the time in which it's going to take to do this and so forth. When worry comes into it, and not just worry, but when sort of your time is being taken up by so many different things, it's really hard to teach or find time to, okay, so you reach a certain age now, this is how looking for a job works, and these are the steps in which you should take. These are when you're going to get your first property, when you're going to get your first this, when you're going to do this. Yes, there will be times in which you can go through things like that, but actually it should be like a steady progression, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jermaine, and I think as well, I mean, the pressures that are on parents is immense, it's vast. There's a lot, because you're carrying everything. You really are. You're carrying just like everything, the child is yours. Not only do you have a responsibility for your child, but you also have a responsibility to your child. So that's everything on you as a parent. And, and again, like I have to agree with you 100%. Some parents do have lack, we're human beings.
Yeah.
We all have our own deficiencies, and we can't possibly educate our children in the world of work, for example, if you've never really been able to hold down a job yourself. You can't,
of course.
How can you do that?
Yeah.
There's going to be deficits
somewhere
along the line, If you've got expertise in something, then obviously you're in a prime position to help your child in those areas.
Me personally, I would rather see, like, for example, like life skills. If we just generalize that as life skills, I'd rather see a class on that than maybe science.
But there is a class on that. What? In private schools.
That's my point. But what about the normal?
Well, it was going to Jermaine's point. It's leaving it to the school. Your parents can teach you that.
No, of course. But like we were saying, with, like you said, where parents might not have that knowledge or might not have experienced it themselves. I'm not putting all the onus on schools to say, all right, you need to teach my son or daughter life skills. I'm saying that I feel like there's things in the school curriculum that not everyone's going to be a mathematician. Not everyone's going to go to be a scientist. Everyone's going to have to pay bills. Everyone's going to have to pay taxes. Everyone's going to have to learn about pensions one day. That is just normal life skills, working life skills. I feel we're not being educated on, so that when we do come to that point, it's like, okay, what do I do now? And then that's where a lot of kids are kind of lost.
So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say on that point. And my response to that would be, unfortunately, we live in a world where everybody wants to fly, right? And everybody wants to soar, higher and higher as time goes on. But unfortunately, the sad case is and this is my view, that we're in a society in which kind of, classes are there for a reason. You have individuals who actually, Romario, are in private schools who are getting this sort of life skills, sort of lessons and so forth. And those are expected to go on and do well because they're from a very young age are being taught how to basically be an adult, how to survive in the world. And they're being catered for. And those within sort of the public school sector, unfortunately, the amount of resources, we're talking about money, that is available for these things aren't there. So it's unless you're a parent that can say, do you know what, I realize that this system isn't really set up to allow my child to soar high, as high as he can or she can go. So this is where I need to sort of step in and inject a little bit. That's where I feel my sort of opinion sort of fits in with that. I'm total agreement. Schools definitely need to be a lot more kind of human nature, kind of how do we help each other sort of survive in this world, not just your maths, your English and your science. But at the same time, I feel like it's set like that for a reason.
Yeah.
We
I get that, yeah,
we need to have winners and losers.
No, that's what I
No,
was
we
gonna
need
say.
to, but
It is-
unfortunately,
unfortunately, that's the way it is. Yeah, that's the way it is.
That's the way that it's set.
That's the way it is, but we can't ignore that some people have advantages simply because of their families and because of their wealth of their family and the way it's out. For example, I don't imagine you came from a rich family, but you put yourself in positions where you can now make moves that you probably people in your supposed class can't. But you have, again, that's up to the child to work for that.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point, you know. If I realize the system that I'm in and the position that I was placed in, when I say placed in, we all can't help where we were born, right? And what families we were born into. So realizing that, you know, you have to say to yourself, it is going to be harder for me to reach a certain place, right? So what can I do? And again, I think this is, yes, it takes a particular child to kind of fast forward and think, but at the same time with the help of all those around it. And again, it goes back to the friends, it goes back to your family, you know, the circle that you keep, and seeing the bigger picture and saying, okay, well, actually I need to educate myself on these things in order to reach these places in which someone that attends private school. And again, it's not that person's fault that they're attending private school. They can't help being born into that family, you know.
But then, do you think people of that class or private schools or whatnot, there should be projects or schemes put in place where a child from that environment can come to this environment, the public school environment, and provide insight into how to make it or how to do this, what the steps are? Do you feel like there should be kind of something in place which allows them to do that, where you don't just have this class system where it's just, okay, the private school children will flourish and then the people in public schools won't? Don't you think there should be something that
100%,
allows
yes.
that education, like
100%? And I want someone to tell me like if I'm wrong here, but I'll say it again. There's winners and there's losers.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
And those who are winning would never want to be in the losing position, and would, you know, winner doesn't want to win with everybody. You know, it's kind of like when you're in school and you sort of you were part of, like, for instance, like your school fun day or sports day or whatever it was, and when you're 5 and you're 6 years old, everybody wants to win. So the teachers go, "Oh, we're all winners," you know, and you're like, "Oh, I want to be winners. I want to win. I want to be the
only one. I want to be the only one.
I want to be the only one." So I feel like in society, again, winners don't want everyone to win with them, because then they're not just winners. We're all,
of course, you're all equal.
And unfortunately, you know, it seems that's the way that society is. And it takes questions like that, and I guess movements that could come from questions like that to kind of bridge gaps or create those opportunities.
Is there anything that you had in mind in terms of, I know you asked the question, like, should there be something in place to kind of bridge that gap, but did you have anything in mind of how that could be facilitated?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like I said earlier, I work with kids, so I've got my own, like, football coaching company. So just for example, earlier on today, I spoke to a young boy, year 11 student, had no clue what he wanted to do with his life. All it was, I spoke to the teachers. I said they can give me a call after school and I will speak to him. Spoke to him for about 10 minutes. He wanted to get into football in some way, shape or form. I told him there's this avenue, and this avenue, literally 10-minute conversation. And from that, he went and applied for a scholarship, a football scholarship, like literally after the conversation. Now for me, that's like something, that's only one student, of course, but that's kind of like an example of what I feel other, maybe not just business owners, other big conglomerates, whatever you want to call them, can go into like these schools or into these areas. And even if it's a few students, just a word with them, just to talk to them, just to give them some sort of guidance on their futures, on what they can and can't do. And I think, like, for me, that was more rewarding than anything I've done. Do you know what I mean? But it just depends on, like, what, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone. Do you know what I mean?
it's to your point, right? It takes, for example, they relate to you because you look at them, you talk like them,
Yeah.
they relate to you and they see you're in this position, so now to them it's possible. Everything is impossible until
Exactly.
it becomes possible,
Exactly.
right? So as soon as they see, alright, cool, he's managed to do, he has his own
Yeah.
football team now, I want to do something like that.
Yeah,
Follow-
definitely.
follow steps.
Yeah, I
And
think
don't
that,
expand.
like, to speak on your question, what can be done, or is there any initiatives that can be done? I think just like Marvyn said, people who they can relate to, kids can relate to go back and just speak to children. Find out what they want to do. If you've done it before, so like I've had a scholarship before, football scholarship, I've experienced it, so I can give that education to them, or that knowledge or experience to them. So I just think people in those positions who have done it before, maybe just going back and just saying, all right, this is what I done, you can choose to do it, or you can choose to do another, take another avenue. But yeah,
I think I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, now I've got 2 little girls. Now, we're talking about the whole private school education and the public school education. Now, if I've got 2 little girls, and I'm trying to think, if I have the money to send them to a private school, why would I then want to burden them with that responsibility to say, you know what, or that school would then say, you know what, you're now going to be placed into a public school to see how you would do things different and what you're learning here. So I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, so why would I want that? Because if I have the money to take my child out of a public school and put it in a private school, that's the whole purpose of me getting you away from that.
Yeah, of course.
So you have that closer interaction with the teacher.
It's two paths, right? You as a parent want to do the best for your child regardless, right?
Exactly.
But it's what Jermaine saying, there's going to be, and harsh, but it's going to be winners and losers, right?
Yeah.
If your child is to win, you can put them in any situation, I feel like they're going to make it.
Okay.
You can put them in anything.
Well, that's true. I mean, I do agree with that, but I don't know, like you saying here, I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. 100% agree with you. You know, you should give back in a certain way. So if you're taking that, if you want to do a scheme like you take someone from the private school sector and put them in a public school and tell them what you would learn, and take someone from the public school and put them in a private school and say, this is what we're learning, vice versa. But I don't feel it's the child's responsibility for that. I think it's the government that needs to implement all of this, sit down with education systems and say, listen, we need to teach our kids more about taxes and pension schemes in all schools, public and private. So I'm a bit controversial in that, but
I just think like for me, it's like, what's an hour out of your week? Do you
No,
know what I mean?
100%,
Like that's how I kind of view it. It's like if I was at school all week or I was at work all week, I look at it like, okay, if I had to do it, I'm not saying every day.
Yeah, of course,
I'm not saying like if you go in private school, all right, we're now gonna chuck you in a public school.
Yeah.
I think, all right, do your normal schooling system. But maybe 1 hour a week, just go. We'll put you into a school. Can you educate or just pass down some sort of knowledge to kids that aren't as maybe fortunate to get the education that you're getting?
not 100%. And I'm not sitting here saying that's not bad, because I agree with you. I think that some sort of scheme should be implemented that we can do that. But at the same time, there's some parents out there who then sit there and say, well, why should my child have to do that? You know? So, like I said, I think the government needs to really restructure the whole educational system.
I do think for an initiative like that to actually be implemented, it would need to come from the top down.
Of course,
you know, it has to be a movement of some kind, or you know, it has to be like from the top end, and it needs to be a fully structured process. Sadly, though, I really don't. I'm a bit sceptical because I can't see that happening anytime.
No. I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I'm not saying
you know,
it
it's
will.
resources, isn't it? It's resources.
But
It's top down level, right? But for example, there was I don't know if you guys seen the stats on students being excluded, whatever. It's like skyrocketed now. It's like an all-time high or whatnot. And there's one school that's actually just decided I'm going to just ban children being excluded. We're just not going to exclude children anymore, because what happens is they end up hanging out with their friends, and then one thing leads to another, and now they're in a situation where involving gangs or drugs or whatever, they're involved in something that they shouldn't have been, and instead of learning skills, they're out there in the street because you sort of decide, the troublemakers, I'm not going to deal with them. So yeah, it could be top down level, but schools also can make a stand like that school has made. So it's I'm not going to take the blame away from schools, so they can do something.
This is where we go back to resources. You know, has teachers got the time has school got the time to actually dedicate to each student who
Yeah.
might be misbehaving? So this is where another entity, another body comes in and works in conjunction with the school, I believe.
Yeah.
And you do have them sometimes, but on a small scale. You know, they have like a guy come in, or someone comes in and works with their what they call like difficult children, or you know. And it's like, maybe if there was a massive movement on that, in which, okay, you're not going to create segregation, because once you create segregation, you create problems.
I think the saying just popped on my head as you was talking. I think it was it takes a village to raise a kid. I think you've just described it really well. I mean, it takes parents, but it takes school, and it takes government, it takes individuals to sit with this child and actually go with them. I mean, in schools you have counselors, but it needs to be revamped, as you were saying. It needs to be a big movement on that. So yeah. And
if I had to then go back to sort of, you know, when I first started, I said, what are the qualities of a good parent? You know, has anyone else got anything else to add to the list that was already said? Now that we've sort of discussed a bit more.
What were some of the words?
We had patience,
time,
and understanding.
I think that was a good one.
I really think that supporting your child, letting them know that you are there for them, no matter what, is a quality of a good parent. They need to know that you're there for them, you know, no matter what they go through.
Yeah.
Because they will go through stuff, and if they feel like you're going to be on their case, or you know you're going to be disappointed, you probably will be, but they need to know intrinsically, deep down, that you're actually for them and not against them. So you know, to really kind of support your child in good times and bad times, I think is a quality that you can't really go wrong with, really.
Yeah.
As a parent.
I think another thing as well to add to that is trust. Like, I think just putting trust in your children to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. I think that is important. I think you can, as a parent, like, just tell them what to do, but it's just kind of like that trust to let them know, okay, you are a grown adult. You will experience mistakes, but I trust you to learn to use the things that you've learned from, like I said, nature, nurture, parents, or your social group. I trust you to make the right decision, or what you feel the best decision is for you, because there is no such thing as a right decision.
No, of course.
The best decision for them. So I think trust, definitely. I think
for me it's you know, being open as well with my kids.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I feel the more open I am, and I've actually experienced, since being a lot more open, sometimes a little bit annoying, but at the same time, it's the most rewarding thing.
Yeah, I think going on what you said about being open is like even being open with your mistakes as a parent as well. Like as a person, just like not just your mistakes as a parent, but your mistakes that you might have made in your childhood or growing up.
Of course.
It a lot of the time, us as like kids, like when we was young, we looked at our parents as the perfect individual. Like you can do no wrong. But just showing that human side to you to say, all right, do you know what? I did do that wrong. I did do this wrong. Lets them know, like, all right, mum and dad aren't perfect, and it's nothing wrong with me not being perfect or making this mistake. So they don't have that pressure on their shoulders to feel like they have to live up to something, up to that expectation.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about my own children. It's not that they've done, it's not anything wrong, but just kind of, I'm just kind of thinking about the scenario with my children now, because my son and my daughter now drive.
Okay.
So my son went out and just did his driving lessons. He's got a job, did his lessons before school in the morning, and wanted to buy a car. Passed his test, didn't say anything to me.
Wow.
Just went out, passed his test, came
Yeah.
home with his certificate,
Yeah.
theory and practical,
Yeah.
didn't say anything, paid for it all himself
Wow.
with his part-time job, and he wanted to buy a car. I didn't want to buy a car.
Mm.
I don't want you driving. I don't want you on the road.
Yeah.
But then, you know, he'd done all of that himself, and he wanted the rewards of, but he's 18, he's 18. No, can't do that. And I didn't want him to buy a car. So I'm trying to put these little things in, like, no, hold off, wait, I don't want him in. But then thinking about it, he's got his car now and I've supported him with all of that. But in thinking about it, that was just me and my kind of fears around him going out, trusting him, like we were talking about, trust your child, you know, trusting the process, so to speak. But then I thought, after a little while, I thought to myself, well, hold on, I can't really say anything to him or my daughter, because I was 17 when I learned to drive and I bought a car when I was 17.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I thought, well, you know, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I to say, no, you can't do this, because I'm no example, really. You know, I did it when it was fine for me, but it's not fine for you.
So, I totally understand and of course appreciate the kind of, you know, the weighing up of both things. It's strange because that could easily go wrong also, can't it? It could easily go wrong in the sense that because you feel like, oh, I made these mistakes, so yeah, it's fine for you to make those mistakes, where actually sometimes it's like, I made those mistakes and I really, really don't want you to be making those. Like, for instance, if you got in the car at 17 was such a bad experience and you were like, do you know what, I wasn't mature enough to drive, you know, my friends took advantage of me, or this and whatever the case was, and you came from a good place and was like, and your son might have said, well, Mum, you drove when you were 17, so why can't I? And then you go, actually, you're right, who am I to say? But then if you actually said, well, you think to yourself, well, actually, it wasn't a good thing when I was driving. So this is why I'm saying to you, or advising you, you know, hold off for a little while until you have steady income coming in so that you can maintain it more, or so on and so on. So I think that's where I believe sometimes parenting can take a little bit of a dip, where we kind of allow our past situation, you know, as, you know, growing up, to then make those, or help make those decisions for our children. So it's, well, actually, I was, I don't know, drinking at the age of 16. So yeah, you can drink at the age of 16. But really, when you think about it, as an adult now, and you're like, wait, that was actually a mistake for me drinking at 16 because it messed with my education, or this and this and this, then you can be a lot more, I feel, you know, on point when it comes to giving that bit of advice. So it's easy to...
Well, I mean, when I bought my first car, I went out and crashed it the same night. And my mum told me, don't buy a car.
What car was it?
Oh, it was a Vauxhall, someone, they don't make them anymore.
You know that model, right? You know that model,
Yeah, and my mum told me don't go and buy a car, and of course you can imagine me going home with a crashed car the same night, you know.
I probably wouldn't go home, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's, well, that car's being parked somewhere. Where's your car? Oh, just left it at a friend's house, you know.
And of course I did tell my son that story, of course, this is what I did, so therefore you shouldn't do it yourself. But there you go.
But as you said, it's knowing your kids as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's knowing your kids, and having that balance.
I mean, growing up for me was like, it was a lot of tough love. I mean, I read somewhere now where they're saying tough love is a form of bullying now. You know, it was just passed off as, you know, it was bullying, but they disguised it with tough love. So I was surrounded with a lot of tough love.
So these two, no kids yet?
No kids.
Are you looking forward to being parents? Do you want to be parents? Or you?
I think after dealing with kids, like working with kids, like not anytime soon. Like, not anytime. No, I'm playing. No, I feel like honestly, like mentally, like I feel like I will have something to offer my child now if that was to happen. Like mentally, I feel like I've got something. I've not lived through life and have loads of life experience to pass down, but I feel like I can give them something, and I can try to find that balance with my child if I was to have a child now. So definitely, yeah.
My point is similar to yours. I'm the older brother of about 5 siblings, and in my culture, it's always the oldest is basically the middle is the second parent. When the parents are not around, you look after your siblings, you make sure they're fed.
Yeah,
look
exactly.
after them. So you're just saying I feel like I would have something to offer, but doing all of that, it's like I'll require a small break before I jump in again.
So you feel like you've been a parent already with your siblings.
Exactly. You get a small break before I do it again.
Before you do it again.
Yeah.
And those of us who have kids, any regrets?
No.
No.
Over my children.
You would do it all again.
Fun.
Yeah.
Maybe not at this age. In another life.
Yeah.
Look forward to being a grandparent. I think.
Yeah. So guys, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. We spoke about parenting. Of course, it's impossible to cover all the aspects of parenting. And I think we've had a good chat based on, principles and techniques and sort of things in which we see fit, in qualities of being a good parent.
Sorry, I've got one more question.
Go for it.
So, one last question is, what would you describe yourself as a parent? For those who are parents now, what would you describe yourself? What's the one word to describe your parenting? And for those who aren't parents, what would you want that one word to be? Like for me personally, I will sit here and say, I would like to say I'm not a fun parent, because I'm still a kid at heart, and they keep me young, and with my partner's more fun and discipline, but me, I'm just fun. I'm a kid.
Okay.
So I would like to say I'm a fun parent. So I would like to know what you guys would classify yourselves.
You want to go?
That was a tricky one.
Can I say
Stick
one
that
of the
one
easy
in.
ones? Before everyone say, I'm just gonna throw out there, love. Because I know, that's just it.
Love?
Yeah, just loving. That's like an easy way out. So I thought I'd get in there before anyone else said it.
Yeah.
Just loving.
See, I'm torn between being, obviously you have to love your child,
Yeah.
being a loving parent, but then I want my child to be prepared. So that's what you're saying, balance. It's trying to do both. It's trying to do enough prepared, but also be like, they're still a child. Let them be a child. Don't try and cram a bunch of information into their heads. They're not ready for it when they're. Let
Can
them.
I change my words to balance?
Balance?
Yeah, you can't do that. I'm changing my words to balance. Just balance. Forget the loving.
Forget the loving. Just balance. Yeah.
To balance.
No, I mean, I would like to think that I'm a fair parent, or as fair as I can be. So I'll use the word fair.
So, love the question.
Yeah, very good question.
I would say that I am a heart-centered parent. So what that means to me is basically my children are my heart, and anything happens to them, it affects my heart. Anything, good, bad, I don't care. It's my heart. So if they're in trouble, that's when I turn into a tiger, a lion, you name it.
Yeah.
I'm there for my children. I will fight to the hills for my children. If they excel, which they're doing brilliantly with at the moment, I'm very proud of them, extremely proud of their own personal achievements that they've made so far in their lives, then I'm rejoicing with them and supporting them. So my children are just my heart. If they're okay, I'm okay. If they're not okay, I'm not okay. It's as simple as that.
No, you want now you want to change. You don't want to be fun. You don't want to be fun anymore. You want to be a heart parent.
Forget the fun.
No more fun.
No more fun. You want my heart. No more fun. Guys, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jay's Big Chat. Thank you. On next week's episode of Jay's Big Chat, let's start off by looking at education from a classroom sort of view, okay? looking back now, because of course we're no longer in sort of nursery reception, primary school, secondary school, college, those sort of times. And for those of us who went to uni, who are still are in uni, if you had to say one thing that you would have changed about your education system whilst you were in it, what would that be? Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.